with quarterback Fernando Mendoza. All right, we'll get started with Jeff Ferrado from Cal Sports Report.
Fernando, how you doing today?
Doing great, Mr. Ferrado. How you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Can you just talk about sort of what a big moment this is in your season for yourself and your team with Washington State coming to town and you guys trying to end your losing streak, but also keep alive your hopes of getting to a bowl game?
This is huge. And we've had the analogy this week that we're going to burn the boats. That means that we're going to be all in this week, and we're all in every week. However, this week, as you said, it means more because if we win out the next 3 games, which we're unscheduled to do, we're going to go to a bowl game, and that'd be huge for the program, huge for the coaches, and huge for my fellow players. And so our team is prepared and been all in this week as they've been every week, and I can't wait for Saturday. It's going to be a great showing for us.
When you say you're on schedule, tell us what you mean by that, because obviously you've played really great teams recently, but you haven't beaten any of them. So what's giving you the confidence now that this week is different?
I have the mindset every week that we're going to win. So just seeing for myself on schedule, what I'm saying is essentially that we have 3 games left, and that's a great opportunity to win all 3 of those, and then birth a bowl game there. So we have an opportunity, as kind of the similar lingo, we have an opportunity to win these next 3 games and make a bowl game, which I'm very optimistic that we will do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Steve Kroner from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Fernando, how you doing?
Doing great. How you doing, Mr. Croner?
I'm doing okay. Again, Steve, please. But
Sorry.
in any event, following up kind of on Jeff, on one level, I would think the past month and a week or so has been great for Fernando Mendoza. You're playing as a starting quarterback in the Pac-12 and done very well for the most part. The flip side is I know how much winning means to you, and you haven't won as a starting quarterback. How have you balanced enjoying what you're doing without getting the results you want?
I would say there is a balance. However, this has been a tough month, hence us not winning any games. Not enjoyment that I've been playing decently well. Like as you said, I've been playing like decently well. I haven't been playing up to my standard at all, and I've still a lot to improve my game. However, I've been enjoying playing with my brothers and being out there and the experience playing college football with my best friends. And I've been finding joy in the process of that. And that's kind of how far my enjoyment has gone. However, as far as you said, we haven't won any games under my tenure yet. So that's been very frustrating for myself. And I'm looking to change that this Saturday.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions for Fernando? We'll go to Thomas Dunn from Radford, California.
Good afternoon, Fernando. Doing well?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Just chilling at school. Fernando, I was talking to Coach Spav yesterday about establishing rhythm when you guys aren't necessarily having consistency, especially against Oregon this past week. When it comes to establishing an in-game rhythm, when in terms of like going back and forth between 3 and outs or quick and efficient drives, how do you strike the balance of we need tempo to find a rhythm, or we need to slow the game down in order to reestablish ourselves?
I think you nailed that question on the head, especially when you mentioned the 3 and outs. I believe that's our biggest enemy. Our biggest enemy isn't the opposing defense. It's ourselves and how we can stop ourselves by going 3 and out. And as a tempo offense, you don't want to tempo a 3 and out and then get the defense back on the field very quickly, as it won't give them that much of a break. And although our defense is really, really, really well conditioned, you still don't want to put your defense in a position where they just get off the field after a great stop and then put them back on. So our whole thing is just getting the first down. When we get the first down, that drive has an exponential increase in its success rate. So our focus is just to get a first down at a time. It's not so much evidently we want to score points, that's the end goal. However, if we can just focus on getting one first down at a time, it's going to help us stay on schedule.
Does game context matter in that regard? So say if the defense was just out there for like a 6 to 7 minute drive and you guys come out there, you're like, are we going to take the full use of the play clock? Or if we get a 6-yard gain on first down, we're immediately going on 2nd and 4?
I believe that is important. However, I think that's something that more of Coach Spav, being the offensive coordinator, can elaborate on. But I do agree with you on that part, and I think that it is important to keep our defense off the field, as time of possession is one of the leading statistics that you see in all types of broadcasts and games, as that does play a huge part in the success of the game and who's going to win and etc. So, thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrado.
Yes, that's Mr. Parado to you, Kyle. A couple of things, Fernando. Can you just talk about being a redshirt freshman but at the same time trying to, show leadership? You clearly have some leadership qualities. Can you describe how you try to lead your teammates, some of them who are 2 and 3 years older than you, and how important of a role is that for the quarterback to take?
I believe that in every successful team, whether you see in the pros or college, the quarterback does play a leadership aspect in it. However, in our team, I'm lucky enough to have great leaders on our offense along with myself and on the defense side. So those guys and those captains, they do a great job of rallying our whole team, creating energy on the sidelines, and creating a winning culture and an optimistic culture here. So with the help of those guys and the other leaders, it's great. However, I do see myself last year playing on the scout team, interacting a lot with the defense, has helped the defense buy into my stock and essentially have the defense believe in me. And then this year, especially with fall camp and just spending time with the guys and just being one of the brothers with our entire team and offense has really helped my leadership qualities. But as I said again, my leadership qualities have been developed through imitating those of our previous team leaders and current team leaders that we have in our team.
Could you name, say, 2 or 3 or 4 of the guys?
Oh, yeah.
Team leaders?
Yeah, I apologize for not doing that in the first place. Yeah, so on defense we have a ton. We had Jackson Sermon, who unfortunately went down. We had Craig Woodson. We had Miles Williams, a safety. And we had Xavier Carlton. Those are all, and we have Noel Williams as well, and Patrick. So those are all amazing. And I didn't name all those on defense. And then offense, we have a ton, such as Brian Driscoll, TJ Session. We have Jaden Ott, Monroe Young, Jeremiah Hunter, and Isaiah Fonse. So all those guys play a huge, and also we have Bear. And all those guys play a huge part in displaying leadership qualities that I'm able to imitate and kind of see how they operate, but as long as providing leadership for our team. So it's not all on one person. I think that's very important as our team. We regard ourselves as essentially as a unit. We don't regard ourselves as an offense and a defense, a special team. We regard ourselves as a team, all in one and having unison and synergy while playing with each other. So I believe that all those leaders, they'll help for our primary goal, which is to win these next 3 games.
Very good. If I can detour to a different topic slightly.
Let's
I
do
know
it.
you got Washington State this week, but a week from now is the big game. You were on the sidelines for it last year. I'm wondering, as a kid from Florida, did you have any sense of what the traditions, anything about the CalStanford matchup that reached out to Florida for you, and what were your impressions of it last year, and how excited will you be a week from now to play in that game?
Yeah, so being from Florida, you don't have a whole lot of interaction with the Cal and Stanford community. However, those are both world-renowned universities, and especially nation-renowned universities. So I have watched the big game before, prior to even being in contact with Cal, as those are both great football teams, and that's a really rich tradition that the Cal and Stanford has with playing each other, and especially last year being the 125th anniversary of the big game. That was super cool to be a part of. I always saw how rich the tradition was from on TV and kind of across the nation. However, when I was really able to be immersed in all the prior game activities and after game activities and just see during the game how in tune all the fans, alumni, players, coaches, and just the whole entire kind of Bay community was into that game, it struck a special chord in my heart. And all games mean a lot. And as I said before, winning is the primary goal for every single game. However, every year when the big game date comes announced, you circle that one in your calendar because it means a little bit more.
And I presume, when's the first time you saw the play, a video of the play from '82?
So I had always seen the play. I couldn't tell you specifically. However, I've seen it just throughout YouTube compilations and, all those things you watch as a kid. You just watch YouTube highlights, like craziest college football plays. So, that play is is very rich. It's very historic play. I mean, I regard it, and everyone regards it as the best play in college football history. So I've seen that play throughout social media as a kid, middle schooler, high schooler. However, I've been seeing a lot more of it ever since I've arrived here at Cal. So it's really cool to see the statue in front of our facility. So every time I'm able to walk to our facility, I see that statue, and it reminds me of the rich tradition and how much it means to our fans, alumni, and coaches, and how great of a play it was. So it's definitely cool to be a part of that.
Thank you, Fernando.
Okay, we'll go to Steve Croner.
Yeah, as Mr. Ferrado and Mr. McRae know, I'm pretty old and not very smart. So
My bad, Steve. I'm sorry about that.
I was at the play, so that doesn't tell you how old I am. They also know I'm not very smart, so I'll ask a dumb question. In 2 home games, when you've been the starter, the offense has put up 40 points or more. 2 road games, you guys haven't come close to that. Is there something to that, or is it, Oregon's defense and Utah's defense are pretty good? Is there something about playing at home for you and your offense, or is that just a small sample size?
I believe that our fans and our environment helps a lot. However, I believe it is a small sample size playing Utah and Oregon, which have both been really hostile environments, and I believe the top 2 Pac-12 defenses by a large margin. So I will say that those factors do play into that role of only scoring around in the teen of points and not 40 points. I will say Utah and Oregon, I had a lot of missed opportunities that I could have capitalized on, and our offense could have capitalized on to score more points. However, at home, it seems that we get in a rhythm, and I'm looking forward to getting a rhythm outside of away, when we play away. And our offense can do amazing when we play away as well, and I'm looking forward to showcasing that and putting 40 up when we play away in our next couple of games coming up when we play Stanford and UCLA. So I'm very excited for both of those opportunities. But yeah, I think our fan environment and kind of our culture in California Memorial Stadium helps a lot with all of that and our momentum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't want to invite you not to the party, so we'll go with Mr. Moreno from Rivals next.
How's it going, Fernando? We talked to, during camp, obviously Coach Spav was talking about kind of those late night calls that you would give him and some of those, just the moments that you would kind of reach out and ask questions. Yesterday when he was talking, he said that you guys were watching film, I think at 8 a.m. on Sunday. How much have those meetings and those conversations with Coach Spav changed now that more of the offense is on your shoulders and kind of more of the direct, what we're seeing on the field is kind of on you?
So Coach Spav and the offensive staff, they're all very busy, and they're all solely focused on winning games, and they're all very driven. However, with Coach Spav, I mean, he's an outstanding coach, but as any offensive coordinator, you're going to put more time into your starting quarterback that week. So Coach Spav, we still met a plethora of times every single week. However, it has increased since I became the starting quarterback, but Coach Spav has done even a great job of developing me and helping me throughout, and the offensive staff coaches helped me develop throughout those weeks that I wasn't playing. So I believe they did a great job at that, and the meetings have increased, and I'd like to say that I am here at the facility a lot, so I'm always looking to get better and looking to beat the next opponent.
And he's kind of talked about your own kind of competitiveness, maybe kind of the quarterbacks overall being a little bit more critical of themselves and maybe some of the other positions. Has it been hard for you to kind of overlook those things and be overly critical when you are still young and still trying to get better?
So yeah, as you said, I am still young. I'm still trying to get better, and as a quarterback, you can be overcritical of yourself, and I can see that happen to myself, especially my competitiveness. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just need to realize, like especially at the Oregon game, that was a tough one. But at the end of the day, I kind of talked to myself, this is a great learning experience. I'm a young quarterback. It's my 4th start. Not in a sense trying to make an excuse for myself, but just kind of seeing the positive side of it. It's a great experience, great environment to play in, and I'll just make sure that never happens again. So that experience, such as I played in the Oregon game, will never happen again, and I was very happy to learn from that experience. At first, as Coach Bass said, I was very overcritical as I was not happy with my performance. However, at the end of the day, my 4th start playing in Eugene, it is tough, and I can do it, and I should have done it. However, I should have performed better. However, seeing that and kind of taking the side of being overcritical when we're meeting and going over specific plays and just going over film, but then also after that, you need to put the the loss behind you and your performance behind you, and you kind of need to take the good from it.
You know, on the positive side, obviously you've been able to hold on to this job and you've been able to, kind of establish yourself, build a little bit of rhythm for the offense. What do you think's been the key to that? Because there's been a lot of talk about just consistency and that kind of being a big part of it. But for you, from your perspective, what do you think's been the key to you kind of solidifying this job over the last few weeks?
Yeah, so my whole thing is just keeping the success of the offense up. And my whole mindset was once they put me in there, they're never going to take me out. And that still is my mindset throughout these next coming weeks and throughout the next coming years. So I never really had a doubt in my mind, or I was never playing scared like, oh, they're going to take me out and I'm going to get replaced. As I know, like once I stepped on the field, that I was going to be a solidified starter for the rest of the year and the next coming years. So that was kind of my mindset in a sense. But I will say that our offense has found rhythm in certain games, as you said, in the Oregon State and USC game. And I believe it has found rhythm in the Utah game and Oregon game at times. And there has been sparks of 2 or 3 great drives back-to-back in which we've gone in the red zone all 3 drives or we scored all 3 drives. However, we got to keep up that consistency, and that relies on myself.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to Mr. Fernando.
Hey, Fernando, can you tell me, is your family going to be able to come out to any more games? How many have you been at so far, and do you expect to see them again before the season's over?
Yeah, so I expect to see my family. Expect to see my dad and my uncle and one of my friends from back home. They're coming to the Washington State game, so that's going to be amazing. And I believe they're coming to the Stanford game too. So that's going to be really cool. So I believe those are the 2 games that they are coming to. And maybe the UCLA game, and then when we get to our bowl game, I'm sure they'll come to that one. So it's gonna be good seeing them, especially as they are far from home, and it's always good to see them and reconnect with them.
What does it mean to you to have them there, and how does it boost you in any way?
I'd say it means the world to me, especially my mom and my dad both coming across the country, as it's very hard for them sometimes to travel that entire length of that trip, as it is a long airplane ride, and it's a long trip and a lot of planning. However, it means a lot because it showcases their support for me, and at the end of the day, it motivates me because I'm not only playing for myself and my teammates, I'm also playing for the name of the back of my jersey, Mendoza. So I always try to make my parents and my family proud.
So this weekend it'll be your dad, your uncle, you said a brother?
And a friend from home.
And a friend, okay.
Yeah.
Your dad, your uncle, and a friend, but not your mom?
My mom wasn't able to make it out to this trip. However, she'll be watching from home. So
Okay,
be
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Matt Moreno, go back to Matt.
I meant to ask you this last week when it came out, but what was your thoughts when you saw Miami on the schedule for the next couple of years?
It's great. That game, I'm very motivated to play that game. I could talk a long time about how I feel about playing Miami next year. However, I'm very motivated to play that game, and that's one that I've circled on the schedule as soon as it came out. So that's going to be huge, playing Miami here. And I'm also very excited to play Florida State back over there in Tallahassee. However, I'm very excited for the Miami game in specific. So it's going to be cool to see a lot of former teammates. I have a lot of former teammates that play in Miami. I know coaches that coach in Miami, and being a Miami fan my entire life, growing up, going to all the games, just being a diehard Canes fan since a little kid, it means a lot for me.
Did you ever think when you committed to Cal that it would be a possibility that you'd be playing, against Miami?
Never. I'd hope that my initial thought when I came to Cal, and I was like, one day we're gonna go to. Well, it was like my thought was like, hey, one day when we go to a bowl game, we're gonna play Miami in the bowl game. It's all gonna work out like that. However, now I have the pleasure to playing them in our conference, so it means a lot to me.
Okay, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrata.
Did they recruit you at all, Fernando? Did they give you the time of day?
It's a little bit of a sore subject, as I live, I would say, a 1-minute drive away from Miami, and I've always walked there, been to all the camps since I could ever remember. Play basketball. I literally just walk sometimes in the weekends, whenever, just throughout high school or middle school, just walk there and hang out or play basketball or something. My mom played tennis there. However, I have a lot of connections to Miami. However, I was not necessarily recruited by Miami, and I'm not gonna lie, it definitely did hurt. So it's great seeing them in the schedule next year.
So you'd be motivated just to show them what they missed out on, huh?
You can say that, but I'm also happy and essentially I'm happy because I know God put me in the position that I am today for a reason. Who knows if I'd even be playing football at all if I was still at Miami or how my situation would be over there. So I'm just really grateful because I know God has given me a lot and He's given me the opportunity to play Miami and also but see my other high school brothers from Christopher Columbus High School that I'm going to be playing against in Miami, and then see some coaches that I have just family and high school relations with in Miami. So it's just great. So I'm just really joyful at all and really thankful for God putting me in this position.
Sounds like you're happy where you're at.
Yeah, I'm really happy where I'm at. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm exhilarated where I'm at. I'm at the #1 public university in the world, playing with an amazing team and amazing culture. And yeah, I mean that's next year. I'm really looking forward to winning these next 3 games. However, I'm really excited where I'm at.
Thank you for allowing us the detour. And your mom played on the tennis team at Miami, or she just played tennis there?
No, she played tennis on the tennis team there in Miami.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Anybody with a final question for Fernando? He'll take more Miami questions in 2024. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See you all on Saturday.